Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here today to talk about the 5 most asked questions when it comes to dehydrated foods. So dehydrating the foods and storing the foods. And I'm putting this video together because these have been asked so many times that I actually have specific videos out on each one, and I'll be linking to all 5 of those videos, or maybe even more, in the description box down below. So don't forget when this video is over to open up that description box to find those links. It's right below the video. If you're on a computer, you'll click on show more in all caps, or if you're on a smart device, it'll be over here on this side, either a triangle, an arrow, or even the word more right over here. Just touch that and you'll be able to find all those links. So as such, I'm not going to be going into great detail on each one. I just want to answer these quickly and then lead you back to those videos if you'd like more information on them. And one of those questions, people will ask, well, what temperature should I dehydrate this, that, or the other thing at, and for how long? Those two questions kind of go together. And the thing with that is it's going to depend on what exactly that item is, because different items can be dehydrated at different temperatures. And herbs, for example, should always be lower temperatures, and some herbs need even lower temperatures than others, where meats can be dehydrated at higher temperatures, fruits and vegetables somewhere in the middle. So that video I did on this topic, I tried to go in depth on the various things and how to dehydrate it. And it's also going to depend on the type of dehydrator you're using. And I also give some tips in that video on how you can make the most of it depending on which dehydrator you're using. So that's going to all have say in it. So you can't just say, okay, well, this is a good temperature for all herbs on any dehydrator and so on and so forth. And it's also going to depend on how you're going to use those items. So for example, if you're dehydrating scrambled eggs, if you dehydrate them at a higher temperature, you're actually going to cook those eggs instead of keeping them raw. If you can keep them raw while you're dehydrating them, then you can use them in more things. So when I dehydrate eggs, I do not go above 115 degrees. And yes, that'll be another video I'll link to down below if you'd like to know more about dehydrating eggs and how to use them. But because I don't want to cook them. I don't want cooked scrambled eggs. I want raw scrambled eggs so I can use them in making pancakes and different types of breads and many other things. But I also can still cook them up as a scrambled egg if I want. And then the other question I get a lot, even though I demonstrate it many times, I've always got new people coming into my videos, so I understand it. I'll talk a lot about vacuum sealing. I vacuum seal this and vacuum seal that. So people ask, well, how do you vacuum seal? Well, the answer to that is it's going to depend. It's going to depend on what you have. There's many ways you can go about it. I have several different videos on different ways to vacuum seal, and you can do that using a food saver type machine. You can use that using with even a brake bleeder pump, and either one of those need to be combined with some kind of top that will go over the top of your jars, or a chamber that you put the jars down inside. And then there's other setups too that are pretty inexpensive. I've been pretty happy with the one I spent less than $20 for, and I'll link to that video down below. That will also have the link to that set, or different sets that you can get. I think I might have put several links to several different sets, and they're really inexpensive. So under $20 you can get some jar sealing tops plus a hand pump. But those will only work, by the way, on canning jars. So either the regular mouth or the wide mouth, or any jar that has that exact size. But if you want to seal any jar that has a good lid to it, then some type of chamber. Now, Food Saver makes a chamber. We make a chamber because people started asking us to make and sell them back when they couldn't get their hands on the Food Saver tops, because they were out of stock everywhere they went, or they went to eBay and then they were like $50 to $75 for a set of them, which is outrageous for that. But the nice thing about the chamber is you can seal any kind of jar. So I have a vacuum chamber, the first one Patrick made, as a prototype, and I use that for vacuum sealing any kind of jar that is not a canning jar. So I have several different ways to vacuum seal. Other than the quick video clip I put in here, I'm going to link to a few different videos down below that can show you the various ways of vacuum sealing. So one using that really cheap set, another one using the chamber, and then another one that's specifically about the brake bleeder itself and tips on using it, which I do still like that brake bleeder. I've been using it for 6 years, been very happy with it when it comes to vacuum sealing. And I don't even use a food saver anymore. I'm just done with food saver machines and their bags. Only food saver items I use are the tops for the jars. And then another question I get in reference to vacuum sealing dried goods. Now, by the way, again, this is about dried goods, is can you vacuum seal dried goods in plastic? The answer is both yes and no, because it's going to depend on the items. I prefer not to do that myself, just because of what plastic is and storing my food in that. I'm trying to get away from that more and more. Again, I have a video just on this topic, but one of the drawbacks to it, besides just the toxins that can get into your food, is that you have to be concerned about the plastic with certain foods, puncturing holes in the plastic. So as you're vacuum sealing dried goods into plastic, obviously it's going to pull that bag down tight against the ingredients. Now, if you're talking about herbs that don't have any sharp edges on them, usually that shouldn't be a problem. But anything that might have sharp edges, be it jerky, dehydrated noodles, like maybe you cooked up some spaghetti and then wanted to dehydrate it and make your own little instant meal out of it, it's not going to work. You have to have something that's going to protect the bag from getting punctured. So jars are always better. But anyway, check out that video for more information that I did specifically on that. You can do it. It's just you can't use it for everything, and it's not always the best method. Okay, then the other question I get all the time is about oxygen absorbers and desiccant packs, and do I use them? Nope. Never. I never use them. I used to use the oxygen absorbers when I was packing grains into Mylar bags. That's when I started getting more serious about it. And I found that they just really didn't make a difference. It was really kind of pointless and a waste of money. And half the time, the ones I would get didn't work anyway. Even today, even though I still use Mylar bags and buckets for grains because I have such a big quantity, I'm not going to vacuum seal all those into jars. I just simply push as much air out of the Mylar bag as I can and then seal it up really well and then put the lid on it. When it comes to your whole grains and beans, in fact, I stored stuff like that for years without ever having issues with weevils or anything else. And that was without even using Mylar bags, and certainly never oxygen absorbers. So now I do have my stuff preserved better, but I found the oxygen absorbers to be just a waste of money. And the desiccant packs, well, they can be helpful, but really if you're getting your stuff good and dry, then there's no need to spend that extra money. I've never used them, but I do understand why some people like to use such things, because it's just an added security. But in my personal opinion, really they're just a waste of money. Just make sure all your stuff is fully dry before you vacuum seal it up. And when it comes to fruits, because they're high in sugar, those do not have to be crispy, because the sugar content in your fruits is also what helps to preserve them and prevent botulism growth. And then the last one is, what is the shelf life of dried goods? Well, again, yes, I have a separate video on this, but I'm just going to cover this quickly, and that is, it should last indefinitely. Any preserved foods, if it's supposed to be shelf stable, it should last indefinitely. Let's say if it's pressure canned or water bath canned goods, as long as the seal holds, they will last indefinitely. And same goes for any of your dried goods, as long as you have them properly stored. So things like crackers and cereal, we know those, if you just leave them in the containers, the plastic bags they came in, they do go stale over time. But if you vacuum seal into jars and that seal holds, they're not going to go stale. And even then, they probably wouldn't spoil if they lost their seal. They're just going to go stale. So what people tend to not realize is when they talk about shelf life of shelf stable foods, it's not so much about whether or not they're going to spoil at a certain time. It has to do with the quality, and that applies to your best buy dates. The quality can start going downhill at a certain amount of time. And that time frame is still going to be variable, because if you're storing it in a place that has a lot of light and a lot of heat, the quality is going to go downhill faster than in a place where you have where you're keeping it dark and in a cooler climate, you're going to hang on to that quality a lot longer. So again, it's about the quality, but you don't, and yes, you will lose some nutrients over time, but you won't lose them all. You'll still hang on to your protein, your carbohydrates, and your minerals. Those don't just dissipate the way your more delicate things like a lot of your vitamins, such as vitamins A and vitamin C, those do get lost over time, just like they get lost as soon as you cook those things anyway, as soon as you heat them up. So I bring up the freeze-dried thing a lot because a lot people are all concerned about, preserving more nutrients, and that's why they're spending all these big dollars on freeze-dried foods, when really, as soon as you cook those foods, you'll lose the same nutrients that you saved. So it's a good idea to, before you invest in something like that, look at the actual facts. What nutrients are you actually preserving by choosing freeze-drying over dehydrating or canning? And when you look at that, what you'll find is that the nutrients you're preserving are the same ones you're going to lose as soon as you cook that item. So unless you're storing your freeze-dried goods in a dark, cool place, and then eating them straight out of the jar without cooking them, you're still going to end up losing those same nutrients. Now, freeze-dried foods can be great when stored properly, and for some people, they're a wonderful option. I do like some freeze-dried goods, but it's not that important to me, and I'm certainly not going to invest that kind of money in a freeze dryer. So I know I keep bringing that up, but I just know this is something that comes up a lot because a lot of people are kind of feeling pressured into buying one. If you want one and you know it's best for you and you've tried all the different freeze-dried foods there are out there, so you know it's going to be the best thing for you, then yes, you should invest in it if that's going to be the right thing for you. But it's not for everyone. And there are other methods of preserving food that people have been doing for hundreds and thousands of years that have worked great. Anyway, the main points were those 5 questions that I wanted to cover today. And please don't forget, I'm going to be putting not just 5 videos. I'm going to be putting a lot of videos in the description box for you who are new to all this and are still trying to learn, so that you can learn more about that, more details about each one. But I just wanted you to have a video where I could quickly answer those top 5 questions that I get on dehydrated goods. And yes, I do can quite a bit too, but most of my videos I do about food preservation are about dehydrated good. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video and I answered the questions you were looking for. And if anybody's got any other ideas or thoughts, share them in the comments down below. Or if you got any more questions, go ahead and ask those down below. All right, well, thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.